What is going on, everybody? A2 Angler here with a kind of special video. I am officially in a TITANX 12.5. A buddy of mine let me use this today. I'm on Belleville Lake, kind of during a storm / post front. There's some rain in the area, but we're gonna give this a shot. I've been looking at different kayaks, trying to think of different platforms after the Hobie here. And the Titan has slowly become one of the most interesting boats that I would probably want to try out. Luckily enough, I have a friend who owns one and is letting me kind of take it out today. The rundown of this boat, there's multiple videos online, so I'm not going to talk too much about like the different features. You can YouTube those. What I'm going to try to do is really give you the angler's perspective of this boat, and just how I'm using it in my first ever time in it. I can already tell it's a beast. I mean, it's a big boat, 12.5 feet. My legs, I can feel my legs getting used to the different prop system. So this is not a pedal system that flops back and forth like the Hobie does. This is a elliptical or a bike style propeller, and it is it's working with a spinning propeller underneath the boat. But the other thing is you get immediate backwards control instead of having to pull something like on the Hobie, and we have immediate forward control as well. So I'm gonna take this out. I gotta get rigged up. I'm gonna give you my honest opinion on how this feels to fish. The first thing I'm noticing is I gotta learn how to pedal it correctly. I'm slowly getting into it. The swivel seat is really cool. What's up, GoPro? Whew, the stability is interesting. We're gonna test that as well. So come with me. Let's get to it. And I'm gonna walk you through my fishing experience, a day of fishing. I have a couple hours here while he is, my buddy's judging a tournament right now. So he's kind of just sitting around and judging fish and listening to podcasts. So we're gonna fish this whole bay right here. And hopefully that's good enough to tell you really how we're feeling about this boat and if we want to spend the money on it. So let's get to it. Llama. So the first thing I really wanted to test out in this boat is the standing ability. And I can already tell that this boat is extremely stable. You know, this boat is nice and wide. Hopefully if I can catch a fish, I'll show you exactly what that looks like when you're judging a fish or getting a fish into the catch holder. But just kind of straight off the bat, I have to train myself that the handle is actually on the left-hand side. There's only one handle to this. Normally, you know, as I fish, I'm noticing that I steer with my right. So I'm gonna have to retrain my left hand. And it has a place, let's say you're rigging up like I am, to put your rod on your right side. I actually really like that. I've been placing my rod on the left when I catch a fish. So this basically feels just kind of like a different style of boat entirely. So rigging up the whole process here, it feels really stable. I'm not really too worried about much. I'm gonna try this black and blue red letter baits I got in Sheboygan. And we're gonna give this a try. All right. As far as tackle storage, you can see down here, there's a clip right there. And you can put your tackle box. This one doesn't fit. That is a Busby. So there's actually a secondary area down here where you can store your baits. So I kind of like that. And I'm sure my thin Busby would fit in that side one. So let's pull up. This guy's not gonna love me fishing behind him, but let's pull up to our first spot and we'll try to catch a fish here. And I'm curious to see how hard it is to steer. You know, it is a much bigger platform. Okay, here's the first test. I've got a log in front of me. This thing is stuck on that log. We'll get it off and we'll go backwards. Nice and slow to not hurt this guy's prop. This is not my boat. When I'm talking about like the fishing, angling experience, that's one of them. We're not all KVDs, right? We're gonna hit stumps. We're gonna get our stuff hooked up, you know? So when you're shallow like that and you get caught up, it's important to me to have a boat that can hang with you as you get hung up, you know what I mean? One of the big questions I had about this platform is, you know, I know it's a prop under the boat that's spinning, right? That's how we're moving forward. And if I ever stopped moving, would the prop want to move my feet? And I can actually hold my feet pretty well without having to feel like they're forcing to move. Now, as we come up to a spot, right? Say you're coming on hot on a spot, you can actually slow yourself down by going in reverse and come to a complete stop before you make a cast. Biggest difference here between the Hobie now and the kayak that I was in is that I'm able to fish standing again. That's one of the main things I miss about the Hobie PA14 is I could get to a spot and then stand. And I felt like I was so much better standing as a perch chasing that. Hung up again, close to shore, close to stumps and stuff, trees and laydowns. I can see them actually under the boat now. What I didn't realize about the prop either, there it goes, is that the prop is metal. There's one. Oh, he got off. See if I can get him from this angle. All right, so this is a pretty common situation for me at least. When I'm running shallow, I'm stuck in all this shit. Okay, now I see that I'm kind of stuck here. How do I get out? And I might utilize this function. Bam. I can put my rods down, skip under something effortlessly, back to fishing. I just missed a largemouth in here, so I know I'm near him. Okay, if there's anything I've noticed so far, it's the handle. The handle being on my left, I really gotta switch hands quickly if I'm right-handed. I'm sure I can train myself. It's just different. It's not bad, it's just different. The swivel seat's really interesting because I can really turn and see a whole lot. I almost feel like I'm more aware of my surroundings, if I can say that. I would like a handle on the right-hand side, I guess, if I'm gonna be critical of it. But it's not something that will, I think, deal break this whole thing. It's definitely like learning to ride a bike right now. I'm in about a foot of water. I don't have a graph, so I don't fully know what's up. I guess if I'm ever going out of position, I can turn. Major difference here is if I feel like I'm out of position, I just turn the seat. It's got a really nice turning radius. In fact, I think it's a tighter turning radius than the Hobie. So like, here's a good example. I'm twisted in the chair, fishing over this way, but the boat's pointing that way. It helps me fight the wind like I never thought I'd have to. And on those windy days, like I've got wind at my back, it's not too bad, but I can see myself getting spun out like you do sometimes. And just using the seat to counteract that. So I keep reaching to the right. Gotta train myself here. I'm coming up to a bunch of grass here, so let's put this, look at that spin. Oh, that feels so much better on the back, no lie. Hopefully I have a jig on me. All right, so here's the rigging that I enjoy. Got my stuff set up. I can stand and rig a pole without a whole lot of worrying about if I'm going over or not. The stability is a 9, easily. And I think the actual, like I was worried about the swivel seat. I actually think the swivel seat increases the stability because it lets you counterbalance the boat by spinning. All right, let's go run to this bank over here. And I'm gonna give it a full send. So I'm going to that bank over there. Here we go. Oh yeah. I mean, it's not fully full send. This is more like full send. This thing's moving. This thing's moving a lot faster, I think, than most other kayaks would move, and tracks very well. All right, let's find a jig. And again, I just forgot, I'm so used to rigging without this bang. Not that the Hobie doesn't have that. The Hobie Outback has that, just in a totally different position. So I had to buy a Yak Attack to replace that. All right, first test of the full swivel here. So we can check out this black pack. This is a 16 by 16. He's only got gills in it, so I have no trailer for my jig. I do feel the muscles in my feet working differently, which is kind of fun. The turning radius is just better. And this is what I like, being able to back up and then just turn. I think this is what I miss the most. I miss being able to pedal and stand up and then fish. The rudder is not hard to manipulate. It feels very intuitive. These fish are not really biting it, dude. They're just like nipping at it. I really like the ability to go backwards and then just turn. That's so nice. And it eliminates a lot of bending for me. First fish in the boat. Let's go. The coolest part of this kayak is that it can fit a catch board right here. There's a little slot for it. And you can lay your fish down like basically perfectly, right? Get a measurement for 13.75, but if he flops, I mean, he's in the bottom of the boat. Sorry, bud, sorry, bud, sorry, bud, sorry, bud, sorry, bud. So there you go. 13.75. Now, you can't keep the catch board there. I just noticed that it knocks. So you gotta store it each time. But that's all right. Just gonna be careful backing up. I don't wanna hurt anybody's prop here. I even reached down that time to grab the non-existent 180 reverse. I'm gonna fish without a trailer and see what happens. I mean, it's pretty fun to just go down the bank. I've covered the bank pretty efficiently, and I can move fast if I have to. So I really appreciate the turning ability. It's gonna save the back so much. Like even this tight of a turn right here, I know I can just turn it, a couple cranks, and I'm around this tree. I'm not feeling this grass nearly as much as I would with a Hobie drive. That's just facts. I just went through that grass like it was nothing. I still don't feel it on the drive. There you go. All right, so what I have to train myself is switching hands. He just came off. There you go. We'd normally get a picture of him, but we don't need to. He came off wood. Very nice, and we're right back to it. That was probably like a 12, 13-inch fish, not very big. Kind of staying shallow. Again, I don't have any kind of fish finder on here, but if I did, I could see myself being pretty efficient. Damn. That dude was running right at me. All right, let's run. See how fast I can go. There's a wind coming this way. You'd think for how heavy and big the boat is that it would be an issue. But it is tracking quite well. I'm not getting pushed to the side much, and I'm not taking a lot of damage, I guess, to the legs. The other thing I'm noticing is it's a bit more bicycle-y, obviously, than a Hobie, but at the same time, it's more fluid. You know, I can start and stop. I guess the Hobie would be akin to like a Stairmaster, you know, but this thing is just really fluid. Hobies are too, don't get me wrong, but I can feel the different muscles in my legs working more. It's almost a better workout. So if you're out here on a long day on the water, you're gonna be really working out. And the workout is not pushing the boat. The workout is just different muscles moving for the propeller system. You can hear I'm out of breath because I'm out of shape. And this is why I was looking for a kayak that could be motorized, but also has pedals. I've heard a lot of input about guys with motors that don't have the option to pedal it. Horror stories where guys are getting caught out in really windy weather, which is when I assume that their motor's dying because the motor's on a much higher setting. And that might be user, that they underestimate how much time they actually have or how much power it's actually using. But guess what? I was born with these and I know what kind of fuel goes in them. So with that being said, having a reliable pedal drive is really important to me when looking for a kayak. And this thing is like cast iron aluminum or something, cast aluminum. This thing ain't going anywhere. It is a tough propel system. I got a jet ski coming in, so I'll see you in a bit. I can see why most people would get a metal handle too. This one is like a composite material and it's completely fine, but it does bend a little bit when you're torquing it left and right. I'm also in bare feet and feel fine. You can add spikes to the pedals, but to me that's just like a shin eater and a bad idea. So we're gonna get in here and see what we can find. We're not gonna find a giant. This is Belleville Lake, let's be honest. This is one of the worst lakes I fish. Can be a numbers lake when it's good though. So, and again, I can't stress enough, this turn on my back is highly, highly needed and very much appreciated, because twisting can set off some of my more sleeper issues with my back. Actually, something I'm noticing now is the standing and sitting is a lot smoother than other kayaks because I'm not actually going down that far. The seat is so high. It's a much more smooth standing and sitting process. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I'm stuck on the captain's galley. Got one. Woo, there's a smallmouth. That's user error. I'm gonna chalk that one up to user error. There's a good smallmouth. Okay, so let me show you how this would work in a tournament. We've got the catch board here. I'm slowly drifting into this, but I think I'll be all right. All right, put the fish down. Fatty, dude. Okay, he's chilling. All right, and we're gonna measure this fish. Boom. There you go. Someone 13, 14-inch smallmouth. Let's go. What's up, boy? See, that cast with this seat is so nice because you can square your shoulders as to where you want to go. That I like a lot. Like, here's a good example. I can turn and hit this bank while my bow is pointed that way. So let's try that. See how turned my body is? I'm fishing bank right now with the kayak somewhat parallel to the bank. I can square my shoulders and just get a whole different type of cast in there. Rather than trying to strain my body or contort my body in some weird way. I am amongst some big logs, so we gotta be careful with the drive. Again, this is not my kayak, but I'm going over logs. This is actually one of the perfect situations where, backlash. You know, I'm spinning in the seat, I'm fishing left, my kayak and everything's pointed right, my hips are swiveled. In any other kayak, you'd be off balance, but this one really provides you a nice platform to even get almost 90 degrees if you wanted, and fish an angle that you probably might not have thought about fishing before, or you'd have to manipulate the kayak to get the boat position. This really helps your boat position. And again, you just swivel straight back to where you were. And again, the turn radius, I know I've been stuck in a tree so many times with Hobie that I know when I've gone too far in a Hobie and won't be able to make the turn and have to go backwards. So this turn radius being so tight helps eliminate that. Something might be on this, so let's check it. Okay, so that does get a little bit of weed on it. Clear it off quite easily. Drop her back down. And we are good to go. Now look at this. I'm at a weird angle, but I'm gonna turn all the way around, make a cast. That is really cool. And while the kayak turns, I'm already there fishing. And if you're coming in too hot, you just kind of back pedal a second. Thought I felt them in there. There's one. There you go. Yeehaw. I think one thing I'm noticing is most kayak anglers will know what I'm talking about, but there's a point where you kind of lose, you forget why you're out here. Like, you're just enjoying it. Like, you're just fishing. And all the cares and all the stresses of the big bad world just kind of go away. And I feel like I've had that moment a couple times today where, you know, aside from this dead fish here, I have felt pretty happy. That's a big smallmouth for out here. So I've had to clean out the prop a few times. I don't love the experience. I guess if I'm being honest with myself, I would have had to do the same thing with the Hobie if it ever got caught up in some serious weeds. But once that prop is clear, it's very smooth. So you can tell pretty quickly when there's something in your prop. Well, I'm coming to the end of my time here. I think my initial impressions are that the boat is extremely stable. The prop is very responsive. I would say the maneuverability of this kayak is actually quite surprising for what it is. It's a much heavier kayak than most. And the specs will show that. But its ability to turn is better than the Hobie, 100%. It's better than the Hobie turning. It's better than the Outback turning. I've been fishing both for long enough that I know when I'm in trouble with my turns. And in this one, I almost feel like I'm cutting off maybe 5 foot of my turn radius so that I can turn faster and get to spots, or get around things and get around trees and get around docks a lot easier. I love that there's actually a place for your rods down there. Makes you even more stealthy. You can get under bridges and things. And that they're lifted off the ground. They don't fill with water like the Hobies did. At least from my perspective, they're quite horizontal, which helps water get out of them. The swivel chair is unique and different, and it's something I definitely will continue to, I think, practice and learn about. It can lock. I've learned there's an accessory to lock it if you need it. I do think you should keep some type of tool with you in case the prop gets fishing line in it. I can see how that would be pretty devastating to your tournament if you can't cut that braid or your even fluorocarbon out of it. It is built for a certain handed person, I think. I believe the left-handed angler will have a better experience in this kayak, and the right-handed angler will just have to teach themselves how to fish with a kayak that's kind of thinking of the left-handed angler. I'm just gonna say that. It's not been detrimental to my experience today. It's not ruined anything in my experience today. It's just different. So I'm gonna be honest with that. In fact, more of my experience is being ruined by the fact that I am not fishing well. So I just have to teach myself how to use my left hand, how to stay on a line. I mean, these are just parts of learning the kayak, I think. I would like to have seen dual steering, but there may be a really good reason why they don't have it. I just feel like they've cornered off the market for a certain type of angler who's not willing to learn a different style of kayak for themselves. Like right now I have to switch hands, turn a little bit, you know, cast, turn. It's a lot of hand management that I'm not used to, which again, in the Hobie, it had it on both sides. So that's something I'm noticing as a right-handed angler. I can hear the comments already just saying to switch hands, but I have thousands of dollars worth of gear in a right-handed retrieve, and I'm not changing. It's been a really pleasant experience today. I've been quite surprised, actually. I thought I would feel bulky and less stealthy. In the Outback, I feel very stealth, but in this, I do feel stealth. The Propel system is working very well. I've been able to actually run quite shallow with some confidence. I'd feel more confident if I had a fish finder. So I knew exactly how shallow I'm running some of these lines into, but that's all right. I haven't had an issue shallow. And the drive does pop up if you hit something, if you don't have the drive locked. I think that's important to know as well. The drive itself is very heavy. It's cast aluminum or something like that. It's very durable. It doesn't feel anywhere near as, I'm just gonna say creaky, as the Hobie's drive is. It does go front and back without any needed pulling of anything. It's been very pleasant so far. I've been pleasantly surprised. You can always throw a motor on the front and not really have to worry about that. Chuck a motor on the front. and you'll be able to steer this thing in a whole different way. I'm curious to see how I feel driving home, because when I get out of the kayak, then I will feel, I think, the impact on my back and lower legs. And that's really kind of why I want to be out here testing this, is you can go a couple of minutes in a kayak and be happy with it. But what does it feel like after a couple hours? How's your body doing with all the twisting and turning? And I definitely feel more active. I feel like the kayak and I are kind of almost dancing together in a way. I feel more connected to the kayak, which is kind of a weird experience. The kayak and I are turning together, where like everything's moving together. And I could probably see, like, as you get better with the kayak, it just becomes second nature to do certain things in it, spinning around and fishing. The standing experience is, again, it is a much more stable kayak than other kayaks. I've only been in a Hobie and a Pelican, but I'm not afraid to stand in this kayak. I'm not afraid to twist and turn in this kayak. I'm not even afraid to kind of cast sideways like I used to in the old PA 14. I haven't yet had a hook set sideways, so kind of waiting for that. But I have had a hook set standing, and I didn't feel off balance. In fact, I feel quite balanced right now. So yeah, all that being said, I'm very impressed with the platform. Propeller does make a little noise, but it does have a gear in it. It's not quiet, but it's not terribly loud. It just makes a noise, if that makes sense. And also, the most noise it makes is when you're running. So if you're running to a spot, yeah, it's gonna make some noise. But as you are cruising in the shallows, sharking around, there's actually not a lot of noise at all. The deck is quite quiet as well. The EVA foam is nice, and the propeller is actually quite strong. A couple kicks and you're moving. Again, that type of cast with my body turned is really nice. It's just pleasant. It feels intuitive. It feels like everything's connected here, and you can kind of fish. And this is kind of, I think, the thing that most surprises me is this little turn to cast and get your hips in it, as long as you're not backlashing, right? Like, say you want to turn and get a cast into the right-hand side. You don't have to wait for your boat to be in the right position. You can just turn the whole chair, fire it in there. That is a different experience to me. That's different to me. That's new to me, and I actually like it a lot. Had lots of boats going by. It's not terrible boat traffic, but it's enough to feel how it handles waves. Like unpredicted waves, I guess, too. Like, it's just not a bad experience. It's very well thought out kayak. You can tell they talk to anglers. There was a lot of angler input for this kayak. You can tell that they spoke to tournament anglers specifically about things that would be nice to see. And in my opinion, they listen. And that's not even getting into the rigging of abilities. Like, this kayak, you don't have to drill into it all to set up everything, like everything. Here's some good waves, rocking around. The other thing to the chair or the seat is that I have a bad back, right? I have chronic back issues. I have not once felt the need to complain about my back today. And that might be the webbing in the chair. That might be the angle of the chair or the build of it, or even the height is taking off pressure from the lower back. But I enjoy that taller platform is taking a lot of heat off my back. It actually feels nice. So that is the Titan 12.5. Those are my thoughts as an initial angler fishing it. Where do I think this would succeed? Oh man, most lakes. I think this type of prop is really good for most lakes. I haven't tried it in the river, but that's why I have my other backup kayak. I think this will be kind of a decent platform for big tournament fish, big tournament lakes, larger lakes, maybe offshore fishing, running docks, and places that just don't have a whole ton of weeds. Though I could see weeds being not too bad if you clear the prop, which is easy. You just have to know that going in. Get a motor as well, and you will have even less things to worry about. What I like too is you have an ability for a motor should you need it at some point down the line. And because the kayak is priced well, you can get this kayak and the motor and still reach, I think, probably about or under what the other companies are asking for their top of the line kayak. So this was really well thought out by Native. I hope this video helped. Got a plane going over. We'll see y'all later. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I'm gonna be pretty active this summer. If I do purchase this, you'll see me rig it out. I might go with a blue one though. I like the green, but if your buddy has green, you can't go green, you know? Can't be a copycat. So yeah, let's go.